So the webinar is being recorded today. Anyone who's registered will be sent a link to the recording and also to the slides. So this is a tips and trips webinar with slightly enhanced functionality. Perhaps you have been to an introduction webinar in the past. Perhaps you've been to one of our regular tips and tricks. I'm sort of hoping that you have been to at least one of those so that you're already familiar. This is going to go through some of the functionality we built out in the last year, very much in response to feedback that we had from some of our customers. So I will get started. There's the agenda today. I'll have housekeeping in a moment. I'm going to talk about running protocols, how you can share runs of protocols, start them, and also the task manager, which is a brilliant functionality when you're using protocols.io as a team and want to assign protocols to individuals or other tasks in the lab, including the ability to split a protocol up and assign subparts to different team members. I am going to show some Excel file preview options and also how they link to plate map functionality, so well plate maps. So it may well not take the full hour, but I'm very happy to answer any questions or go into anything else. So if you think of questions, please do put them in the Q&A. My colleague Julia Kurtz is also on the call, so she can monitor questions, and we maybe won't answer during, but can go through them at the end, or if there's something trivial, she can probably answer in the chat or in the Q&A as we go through. Okie dokie, let's go to the housekeeping. It's being recorded. You hopefully all were aware I turned on the recording before, and you'll all get a link to the recording and these slides. The reason for the slides too is that, if you don't need to worry about making notes or copying down links. You'll have access to them at the end. Probably within a day, we'll send them to you. Closed captioning is definitely enabled because it's coming up on my screen and I don't know how to turn it off, but you should be able to turn that off or on if you want to use them, if they're helpful to you. As I mentioned, there's a Q&A option at the end, but do feel free to add questions in the Q&A or the chat during the webinar. And you've obviously come across a place to sign up for our webinars, but the link is there if you want to check out other ones, or if you have an individual kind of question and you'd like to have some one-to-one time with one of our team. If you follow the link to the demos, you can sign up for a half-hour slot. If it's European time, you'd end up with myself or Julia, who's on the call. We can answer questions and show you how to do things. I will get started with running protocols. I have got slides to show the processes, but then I will show you them live. I'll jump out of the slides and show you them actually in protocols.io. So if you are not aware, it's possible when you have a protocol, one of your own protocols on the platform or a publicly available one, to perform a run of that protocol. And there's quite a bit of additional functionality that is available when you do the run, which may or may not be immediately evident. So this will run through those options for you. The first time that you try to run, this little step-by-step guide 1 through 4 will come up, which is quite helpful. So there's a sidebar on the right-hand side. This allows you to track progress through the run. So there are 8 steps in this protocol. I haven't yet done any of them, so it shows 0 out of 8, but it will track your progress. It will also track the timers if you've got timers in there. And you can edit a step during the run if you want to. You can make changes to things if you want to tweak them, try something different, save it during the run. It won't save the actual, it won't change the underlying protocol. It will only be captured in the run record itself. You can add comments as you go through a run. So you can annotate your run progress, and at the end you can see what those comments were, or you can go back and have a look at what they were when you performed that experiment. So if you are making specific observations or something weird happened, maybe a fire alarm, something that you just want to track, that this might be a reason why something's a bit different this time, you can click the plus, add a comment, and they will all show up in the sidebar. But there's also the ability at the top, at the end or partway through, to look at all the comments that are there. You can make edits to the steps. I mentioned that at the start. You can tweak a quantity if you wanted, make an edit to that, change a reagent if you wanted, or just note that you want to do something specifically different this time. And when you click save, it will keep that information in the run without changing the original protocol. And you can save the run. So once you save the run record for the first time, it's automatically going to save as you progress through the protocol itself. So this is a constant thing. If your computer crashes, everything will be saved in there. You can come back and pick back up that run at a later date, or just when you get your computer rebooted, or so on. When you save that run record, you're going to pick somewhere to save it. I have a folder in my workspace here called Run Records, and this is where I'd save them. When you have fully completed the protocol and have pressed Finish Run, it will be green like this, which is a completed run record. For this grey one, this is one that I've started, but I haven't finished. And so you can see here just as protocol run record. I think it actually has been updated now, and I've not updated the screenshot. I think it now says incomplete run record. But it's a different color anyway. It's very clear that you can continue with this one. There is a resume on the right-hand side. So you can pick this back up or stop start before and after lunch, or a colleague can pick up and finish that protocol if you don't manage to. If you think it's a 2-day protocol and unfortunately you're sick on day 2, someone else in the workspace would be able to resume that for you. You can share these run records too. So if you were at home and you suddenly realized you felt terrible and you weren't going to make it in tomorrow, you can, when you click on that, you'll see the option to share down here. So you could share, I've put in Lenny here, he's my boss. I could share it and send him a little note and just say, I'm terribly sorry, I won't be in tomorrow. Any chance you can finish this protocol off for me? And if you've put all your comments and information in there, it should be quite easy for a colleague to pick that up and complete that run without any trouble. When you do add them by email here, they'll get an email telling them, telling them this protocol run's been shared with them, and there's a note in there, can you click resume and complete it, etc. And this will come as an email. It will also show up in your notifications on protocols.io, which is where the bell is. You just see it in the background here, the bell with the red number. If you have a notification, that's where they will show up, and it will be on the share part of that. And I showed you already, that's how you can pick it up and click resume. So that run record now, I can pick it up, I can resume that and finish it off, or Lenny can finish off the one that I share with him. And this is then, if you come in and it's been partway completed, you will be able to see the progress all the way through, where the previous person got to, or where you got to before lunch, and you'll see when the steps were completed, and if anything was changed during that run, that will all be evident in here. I can add a comment like I'm doing here, but I would see any comments, sorry, that's flicking through. I could see any comments that had been added before. Everything would be available on here to view. And this is in a run record. You have access to all the different tabs, much like you do on a protocol. And when you look at the history, you can see who did which steps and when. And so you've got full tracking of who the researchers were that performed the different steps of that run in that run record. Of course, this is all date time stamped. So if you're generating results, and you want to see, the results are generated on 22nd, 23rd of Feb. This is from last year, I think. I would be able to correlate the data with the run record and know exactly what I did that day and Lenny did that day. I'm going to come out and actually show you that in, I know I'm showing the whole screen today. That's with reason, because I'm going to pull things across from my other desktop in a bit. So if I'm in here, this is that run records folder in my workspace that I mentioned. You've got all the workspaces that you're in on the left hand side. So I'm just in a demo one, and I'm in my run records folder. You can see the green ones are completed and the grey ones, yes, now they say incomplete run records. So I know I need to update that screenshot. And if I click that one, I could resume, very easily pick up and carry on with that protocol. Let me just move this down a smidge. And if I'm in here, this is my protocol that I'm editing. It's what I'm working on right now. I'm going to show you some of the other functionality that's in that run when I go through it. So if I click to view that protocol, the run is very obvious. This is just going to show you that workflow of picking where you're going to save it. So it's going to start saving in my run records folder right here. I can give it an experimental ID if I want to. So if I want to be able to track, in some spreadsheet, the result, the experiments alongside everything and other information, I could put this in here. If I have a timer that I've added using components, I can run the timer. It's really nice, and it will give me a notification at the end. And as I mentioned, I can add a comment and add that here. So the comments get added on the right-hand side, and I could make edits if I wanted, but let's say that step is done. So you can see it's clicked me through one step. If I've added quantities here, actually, if there are quantities all throughout a protocol, that it's some kind of master mix, the entire protocol, you can choose to scale the whole protocol. Or if in an individual step, there are quantities just for creating one thing, maybe you're making a buffer, then you can choose to, now I can't see where my options are. Oh, here we go. I need to edit or scale. So if I'm editing or scaling, I could actually make changes very specifically with all the components and so on. But if I click on settings, I can scale the quantities in that step individually. So you can see they're nicely red now. It's clear that I've made some changes here. I can save that. I could add another comment so that I know what I've done and why I did it, or whatever's relevant at that point in time. And then you would say done again. If you've included Excel formulas as tables, sorry, if you included tables, you can put into them Excel formulas. And then when you're completing the run, you can actually make edits and add information to that table. So in this one, in this cell here, you can see I've got this, just a sum Excel formula. So if I'm counting cells or I'm doing something specific, then the numbers and the calculation is performed on the fly as I go through that. And obviously you can put in more sophisticated formulas than this, but this is just to illustrate that that functionality is quite nice if you're doing a run record. This one is the smart component. So this is, you can have basically question and answer. We call it key value pairs. So you would add in information that you want an answer to. You can choose whether to require it or not. So this time I've required. So, oops, sorry, I've gone. I can't click done on this step until I've added answer to the question. And until I've actually put those inputs in, I can't go forward because they're required elements. So if you want to make sure that you capture some observation, numerical value, specific thing that's relevant during your protocol, you can do that this way. So you can see I'm halfway through this protocol now. I won't finish it, but if I go back to my file manager, you can see it started adding, this protocol run is being added to my run record folder. So this is the one I'm doing today, February 17th, I'm in the UK, it's 11, well, I started it 3 minutes ago, but it's now 11:16. But if I look at this run record, you can see I can resume, but I've still got it open up here. And when I click through to the elements, I've got the comments are being captured, the history here, the things that I've done. I've set changes to scaling. I've done other things along the way. That's all being captured in that run record. I think those were the main things to show. And here's where you can share it. So in that, if I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish this one off, I could opt to share. Maybe today I would share with Julia, who's on the call. Well, I won't actually complete it, but you can see I can give Julia access, and I can make sure she can edit that, and that she can then continue this. to make changes for me to that protocol. If I save that, she'll get the notification. I can add the note here asking her to do that for me. I won't go through, but you can see it's very easy to share that with someone else. If someone's already a member of this workspace and has edit access and availability, they're going to be able to see it regardless. So they'll be able to work on it if they wanted, even without me doing that extra step. That's the beauty of the collaborative workspaces, where you can have multiple members all able to work on things together. Right, so that's the runs. I am going to go back into the slides for a bit. And talk about the task manager. So task manager, we don't often mention this, but it's actually really useful. It's a place where, as it sounds like, you can assign tasks to different team members. And it might be something like it's Julia's turn to clean the fume hood, or it's, Lenny needs to make a batch of buffer, and we're going to assign that to someone different once a month. We can do all of this on this, in this task manager. It looks a bit like product management software with sort of cards, a bit like Trello. It doesn't have all that functionality, but it has got quite a lot of nice functionality in here, and a lot of it's specific to protocols. So if it's not just a generic cleanup task, it can actually be specific protocols. So you could plan out your entire week of, I'm doing protocol A on Monday and Tuesday, and then it will be a different protocol on Wednesday. I know exactly what the sequence is of things that I'm going to be working on through the week. I can actually schedule them out, make sure I've got the right amount of time for each one to work over the next week or two. So when you're in the task manager, you can add a new task. This is what one looks like. You'd give it a title. If you want to assign a protocol specifically, you can, you can search here. The search is a bit quirky, but you can normally get there in the end if you persist to find the titles, because it's searching all of the public content on protocols.io. Sorry, my mouse is making my slides go forwards and backwards without me intending to. You can see that we can have the status here, if it's open, if it's in progress, or if it's closed right now. Can give it a start date. So I could assign this to be, tomorrow I'll start working on this one, and I can actually assign to someone else. So if it's a lab manager who wants to assign specifically to different members of a team over time, you can assign different workspace members to these tasks. More than one can be assigned, and as I'll show in a minute, the protocol can be split between different team members very easily. So if I'd added a protocol where I'd searched and found, on this one I've found 2 different ones, and you can see the number of steps are in that protocol, and you can see that I have actually added 2 assignees on this task, Lenny and myself. And to this first protocol, I have very specifically said Lenny is to do steps 1 and 5 on this date, and I would do 6 to 10 the next day. So you can be incredibly specific, and it will put this across the calendar that way. When you're assigning them to sections or the whole protocol, it is very easy. You will just add assignee, and using this add assignee, this is what comes up. You can pick the person, you can say they're going to do the whole thing, or they're just going to do a part of it, and you can give the dates on this. I'll show this in a moment too. I'm kind of just doing, it's an iteration of the slides and then actually showing it live. Once you've created this task and you're happy with it, it automatically gets added to the calendar view on protocols.io. But if you may not be looking at our calendar functionality, you can also click add to calendar and either download an ICS file that you can put into your own calendar system, or click to kind of sync in with a specific calendar system. So you can add it onto your regular calendar so that it will show up. And once something has been assigned, an email will be generated to the people who've been assigned something. So you'll get a notification email as well, telling you somebody's created a task and here are the assignees. So you can then have an easy click through to view the task. It will also show up as something on the bell under the notifications as well on the protocol. Sorry, on protocols.io. So let me jump out and show you this a little bit in real time. So how you get to the task manager, first of all, When you're in protocols.io, as I mentioned, your workspaces are all on the left-hand side. You can click on tasks. So it's pretty easy to get to that. We've got open, one in progress, and then 4 of 6 are closed. And you can see who the assignees were. You can see things at a glance. If I want, eventually, when they're fully done, I can just delete them. So I think, probably people aren't keeping these after the fact. There's a couple that I just added recently, and they are straight away, they're on the calendar view as well. So let's have a look at the new ones that I've put in here. So this one I'd added yesterday. We found the protocol, cut and run, and we have added 2 assignees to this task, given it a start date. We haven't actually given it a due date. So when it should be done by tomorrow. Both of these things should be happening today. So we'll say due date is tomorrow, and that's all been added. And then in the assignee, add assignee on the protocol itself, that's very easy to say, and do one part, Emma, do the other part. And I can edit the things that I've said. So this was a 12-step protocol. So we could change it and say, actually, I'm only going to do the first 2 steps. Because I think Anne should do more work today. And so she's going to have to do 3 to 12. So it's pretty, hang on. It's pretty easy to do that and make the changes that you need. This will be notified with this email, the message that you've added. They'll go in an email. Let's collaborate on this protocol run. I'll do. And as you're actually working on it, you can add comments. So if you want to make a specific comment about something that you're doing as you're running through the protocol, you can do that here. So I can, from this task, go straight to running the protocol. I could view the protocol, or I can go straight to running it. So I'll do that. I'll go straight to run records. So we're back where we were before with a run, and I'm only doing 2 steps of this protocol. So pretty quick for me. If it loads, I can say done and done. And you can see really nicely on the left-hand side that that's what I'm supposed to do. And Anne has got these other things assigned to her. So I'm not going to finish, obviously, but you'll see hopefully now, the wrong one, the cut and run has started being recorded as well. It's over here. Now, just to be really confusing, and this is where I become a bit dual personality. In a different browser over here, I'm logged into Safari. I'm logged in as Anne. So I'm Anne over here. I've got a notification. Oh yes, Emma assigned a new task for this webinar. So I can view that task. So I can go straight to the task that was assigned to me as Anne from that notification. And so this is that protocol that I've just started running as Emma. And you can see that I've got 2 steps have been done. It automatically loads up with exactly what's happened in the history on here on this protocol. But I can see everything in here, but I can go straight in and open that run record now. Remember, I'm Anne, and I can finish it off. So I can say, actually, I'm only going to do that, but I'll finish it. And at that point, it's not editable. Once I've clicked finish, it tells me it's completed. If I'd put any comments, they would be showing up. And in the history, you can see who did what and when. So all of that information is really nicely available. So, all right, I'll go back to being Emma. And it's not updated here, but if I refresh, you'll see that now is green. That one's completed. It's done. And we were in here. I think that's not updated either. So we just need to make sure I'm on the latest version of it. And you can see everything that was done and who did it. I can see all of that as well as Emma. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to go through, assign specific tasks to people, and track exactly who did what. So that was this one. There's another one here that was assigned just to Anne. I can just give other people tasks, or I can use it to assign them to myself. So let's go back and make a new task. And just to show how it is, new task for webinar again. And I'm going to look for that quick ligation protocol. You'll see if there's more than one version of a specific protocol that you're looking for. The higher number, the more recent the protocol. So we'll assign version 2. I think I have to, maybe I can just assign. Okay, so I can find myself on here and save. And I think I have to save before I can assign person to protocol. There's a kind of sequence of events that has to go through, and you have to have given it a title and things like this too. But you can see now that I have the option to add assignee. So I can just say Emma is doing null protocol. I'm going to do this. It's all good. Actually, I will give it a date, which I didn't just do. I'm going to do this on Wednesday. Save. So we'll change the start date to be Wednesday. Sometimes it's a little moment to click the actual date, and due date Wednesday as well. You don't have to set all these dates. It's if you just want to have it kind of clear, because you'll get reminders for things as well. So if I go back now, I have a new task for the webinar. This was one here, and that will now be on the calendar, but it will show up on Wednesday. So I've got that one, new task webinar. It's right here. That's on Wednesday, the other one today. If you assign to different people on different days, it will track across different days as well. So there is a lot of really nice functionality in here. And if when it's done, you can just change the progress. So you're just going to say closed. So it's, I think they're fighting internet and things changing. So now that one's shifted across. You can't drag and drop. It's a pet peeve, but one day our developers will get that added, I'm sure. And you can toggle, so you can just see the open tasks. You can just see the closed ones. So, you know, if you've or you've got a few options of how you actually show that information on there. Okay, back to the slides. Excel file preview options. If you have uploaded an Excel file, if you've got a complicated Excel file that is important for your protocol, whatever it is that you're working on, although we have that table functionality, which I showed you earlier, where you can input certain things, it's not really meant to be used like a replacement. Oh, sorry, I've just don't know what I've done now. Swiped my screen across and lost my slides. There we go. It's not meant to be a replacement for Excel, but if there are really complicated things that you would like to be able to refer to easily during the protocol, there's very nice preview functionality. So if you've got a well plate map that you've made in Excel that you want to have there, you can just have it as a preview option like this. And that takes me to the plate map functionality. Again, I'm going to show a few things here, and then I'll show you all of this in the platform too. So if you are using well plates and you are doing screens, we've got this really nice well plate map component. So you'll go to components, look for well plate map. You can choose a template. That's how many wells there are in the plate. So there are quite a few standard options here. But if you are wanting to, you can also put custom dimensions. So maybe you've got a 12 well plate, but you're only doing 3 by 3. So you can just put rows of columns 3 by 3 if you want to. You also can import from an Excel file. So that Excel file that I just previewed on the previous slide, if I upload that here and click create, that will pull me in that well plate map into protocols.io. And we then have the well plates kind of laid out however many by however many with quantities in them. Or if we make one from scratch, we can add whatever variables we want. We can edit the column and row headings to make them make sense. You can also play around with the colors. There are some pre-configured color schemes, or you can choose colors to apply. Or you can add your own kind of color scheme and create it. There's quite a lot of nice functionality. And if you're doing multiple screens and a lot of the configuration of how you would be setting up the well plate is the same. You can copy paste one. If you've put one in and it's taken you a while, copy the whole thing, paste it into a new step in protocols.io, and it will do that for you. So let me jump out. We won't quite do Q&A just yet. We'll do it in a minute, but I'll show you the well plate map. So this is that Excel file. This is to show you that preview functionality. So you can see exactly what's in there, my nice color-coded well plate map that's in here like this. So if I do want to put in well plate maps, then I need to find the component for the well plate map at the bottom here and click on that. So we'll come down here and we'll put one in. So as I mentioned, you can pick from lots of standard well plate sizes, or you can do your custom dimensions, or you can import the Excel file. So I have got this plate map example. It's the same Excel sheet. So you've seen what it looks like. I can upload that and pull it in. That's now been added to this, and I'll say create. It does not pull in the colors from that Excel file, but it does pull you in all of the values. So if it's easier to add that in the Excel file, you can't put row and column headings on it. You have to have it kind of left and top go straight into cell A1 would be neg control and do it that way, but it will pull in all the information in there. You can add the colors afterwards if you want to. And the colors, very easy. You can say that one's yellow, that one's yellow, and this one up here, I can change the value if I want, or I can do the colors. So it's pretty easy to see how you can set those up and what you can do with them. And I mentioned being able to copy, and I can just make a new step and I can paste, and I'll have a replica of that well plate map here. So if I want to change the quantities in the second one, I can do that, where I could import from an Excel file again and make those changes in that one. So there is lots of nice functionality. If I wanted to change just use some of the template color coding on that one, I could say first color green, second color blue, and pick which format I wanted, and it will do that for me as well. So, some of those will make sense for what you're doing, some may not, but there is quite a bit of options in there for you to lay things out exactly how you would like. I think that is most of what I was going to go through today. I am very happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. I will stop the share and can just wait for a moment, but feel free to drop off if not. Oh, I meant to show again if people can give feedback on the webinar, and I'll just show that again. There is a QR code as well. Or you can follow that link and you should be able to give feedback on the webinar. I'll just hang on for a moment in case you have any questions. Feel free to put them in the Q&A or chat. I'll stop the recording.